What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Hope you guys are having a great day so far. Today, I'm going to be talking to you guys about my thoughts and a little review on this season of The Haunted. So I'm going to do 3 different categories, and then I'm going to give like an overall score out of 10. I'm going to do story, content, and then weapons and armor. So for the story, honestly, I have really enjoyed this season's story. Bungie's been doing a phenomenal job at storytelling recently, and I hope they just keep this up. I loved seeing more depth on characters like Crow, Zavala, and Keitel. It was cool to see some backstory behind Zavala and his wife, Crow and Aldrin, and then also Keitel and Gaul and even Callus. And with how everything's been headed, I'm really excited to see where we go next season. And with the showcase coming up, I'm super excited to see the little sneak peek we get into Lightfall. Overall, the story, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. I would say like a 10 out of 10 is something like Witch Queen, because Witch Queen was an amazing story. Moving on, I'm going to go into the content that we were given. So we were given the Leviathan with Egregore added, which I never got to explore the Leviathan. So I thought that was cool to get back in there and see how everything's changed with the Egregore. And then we were also given the new dungeon, the Duality dungeon, which in my opinion, I enjoyed it. It's pretty fun. It has a lot of good gear. The mechanics are pretty interesting with how we're going in and out of the 2 different zones, I guess, with the Nightmare realm and the normal realm. However, the seasonal activity, as it always is, was just super repetitive. I hope they can find a way to make a seasonal activity a lot more enjoyable. You know, maybe even give us something like a horde mode where it's like constant waves of something. That would be pretty cool. Opulent keys were way too much of a chore. Those things, for me, I barely got opulent keys to drop, and then when they did, I would never get red bars. It was a pain that first week trying to grind it, and I know what people are going to say. It's like, oh, well, you just tried to do everything the first week. It's like, yeah, I wanted to get, you know, Austringer and Beloved and all those weapons and use them. I didn't want to sit there and wait a couple weeks or even a month to unlock these weapons and get the roll that I want and craft them and all that. Solar 3.0, though, that was awesome. We got a lot of fun builds that we could have made. However, I don't think we should have classy restoration or anything like cure or restoration in PvP, because it was a very boring way to play because people would just play super slow and constantly be healing up. And that leads me into the PvP meta this season. It was horrible, honestly. I did not enjoy it. But the changes with scouts and 180 hand cannons and all that at the end of the season actually switched up the playstyle a little bit. It made it fun. It made it fresh. And I'm excited to see what they do with the next season with all the changes that we saw in the last TWAB. Lord of Wolves getting out of there, Omni getting out of there. It's looking like it's going to go in the better direction for PvP. Overall, for the content, though, I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. The dungeon and the Leviathan are cool. The dungeon makes up for a lot of this, but everything else, it was okay. It wasn't great. Now, for the weapons and armor, we were blessed. The dungeon weapons that weren't the opulent ones were some of the best designs in the game that I have seen. They shade so well. They look so cool. They sound cool. Overall, I just loved the dungeon weapons. The armor was okay. I'm not a huge fan of it personally. I know a lot of people do actually like how it looks. You can make some nice looks with it if you try certain things out, but other than that, it's not the best. But the exotic from the dungeon, Heart Shadow, is really cool. The season of the haunted weapons too, those ones, they look awesome. They sound awesome. They feel awesome. I loved almost everything they did with weapons this season. The opulent weapons returning were also a massive W. I never got to use them back when I played, so I'm glad that I was able to get my hands on them and craft them. And the Callus Midi Tool is like one of my top used weapons now. Austringer I use a lot in PvP. Beloved, I did use it a lot, but this leads me into my next point with the world drop weapons. Immaculate. The Galoo, Chef's Kiss. Best weapon in the game for me. I love that thing. I'm going to use it nonstop. And then we got like some cool weapons like the Stasis Bow as well. We got the NOD SMG, which is also really solid. We got a lot of solid world drop weapons this season. The seasonal armor, though, the Eidolon set or whatever you say, I personally don't like it at all. But the ornaments that we got in both the silver and the season pass packages, oh, perfect. They look so good. I'm so happy with how those came out. I use the solar set almost all the time in all my builds. I know a lot of people have made some super dope looking ones with the season pass ornament set too. Overall for this, though, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I loved the weapons and armor. More so the weapons. The armor was okay, but the ornament sets made up for it. So with that, all that being said, overall, the Season of the Haunted for me was like an 8 out of 10. You know, I love the storytelling. The story was awesome. The content was, it was okay. It wasn't like anything that I'm like, oh, I hate it, I'm never gonna do it again. Like, I like the Leviathan. It looks cool. The dungeon duality is a pretty fun dungeon to do. And then the weapons and armor, Bungie, please keep this weapon design up. Maybe a little bit better on the armor, but I still liked a lot of the ornament sets. But man, the weapon design was on point this season. I hope that next season's weapon design is even better, because it's just going up from here. Now, this is all my personal opinion on the season. I want to know what you guys thought about this season. Give me some hopes and thoughts for next season as well, and even leading up into Lightfall. But yeah, that's going to do it for me today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. It's all free after all. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.